Well, guys, as I said before, things are about to get a lot more complicated. Hey guys, camera for the Girlfriend Experience, Season 1, Episode 5, Insurance, and what an episode! Oh my god, guys, this episode was incredible. I mean, so much going on this episode, and again, I'm surprised that this episode was able to cover as much as it did just in a half an hour, but it really was able to do that. I think it's because this episode focuses so much on the story. As I said, there's no time for bullshit, and there was so much time in this episode, so much to get into, and the more and more this goes on, the more I love it. I can't wait to see Episode 6, that of course, that aired tonight. Of course, I will be probably reviewing that soon, I don't know when, but let's just get into this episode. I absolutely love this episode, by far best episode of the season. There's a lot to get into. We see, first of all, as we know from last week, we saw, of course, Kathleen confronted Chelsea, told her straight out to not go on vacation with Ryan. You see right away that is not stopping Ryan. He calls Chelsea. She asks how he got this number. He says he got it from Kevin. He informs her that his wife will be on attendance and basically on vacation with him, and asks if she still plans to go, and she says she understands and asks if it's okay if she calls him back Tuesday, and then confirm and swear out all the details, because obviously there's a lot to deal with knowing what Kathleen said. He says it should be fine and he'll speak to her soon. And that the one thing I forgot to say about Kathleen that I love is that she's not a bitch. I mean, really, she's just a woman that just wants her husband back, really. I mean, her husband clearly has been very distant. She hasn't seen him a lot. She just kind of wants her husband back and not with this other girl. And we see Chelsea in the meantime is on a boat with Michael, who says it sounds like business is going good, and she says it's fine. She says she'd rather spend all her time with him, and he says he doesn't expect that from her, and she says she knows that she's just being honest. And honestly, I think Christine is sincere here. When Chelsea says, like, I want to spend time with you, I think she is sincere. He says that they should sit down, make an arrangement, make that happen. She agrees, they're given drinks. She asks if there's any way they can be alone. Michael gives the waiter on the boat Chelsea's order. They go inside the boat and have sex, and then both swim in the water, but when Chelsea comes back from the water, she can't find Michael, and we get this incredible sequence where she searches out for him, worried that he may have drowned. I mean, we don't know where Michael is. We're constantly just as worried as Christine, thinking that, holy shit, he might have drowned because of his age. I mean, we know that Michael is not young. He's the oldest client that she's had, and she calls out for him, looks everywhere, starting to freak out, but luckily, Michael is in the water, he says the water's great, and asks her what's the matter, and luckily, everything seems to be okay, so they continue their trip on the yacht until Michael has to leave, and you can see that it seems like Christine genuinely cares for him, not just as Chelsea, but as Christine. She genuinely cares, and I love that scene. I think that was an incredible way to start the episode, and just from that, it was a scene that did not have a lot of dialogue. The scene with her searching out for him, yes, she's calling his name, but you can see she genuinely is worried, thinking of all the possibilities, not thinking that this could be an option, thinking, holy shit, what could happen if he died, if she, would she have to take the blame for it, could she have said? I mean, there were so many things that could have gone wrong, and luckily he's okay. But then the next scene happens. We see Chelsea then calls someone named Peter Grimacy and says he represents the estate of Michael, who right away you find out died last Thursday evening, and Michael is gone from the show. He died from cardiac arrest and gives his condolences to her. And I'm not going to say that I didn't see it coming, because from the second Michael was introduced, he really did not seem well. He seemed like he was kind of just spending his last moments with Chelsea. I think we really understood why he wanted to be with her so much, because he knew he was dying. I think he knew straight out that he was dying. He wanted to spend his last dying moments with someone so he could feel young again, and he says Michael named her as a beneficiary in his will, and he was hoping that she'd come to his office so they could go over the details, but of course, the will isn't in her real name, so it's a very complicated situation, because, of course, she never agreed for this will to be in her name, but of course, Michael made sure it is, but of course, he didn't know her real name, so it's a very interesting situation the way this was done. I really enjoyed that, and she then meets a new client, Sam, who introduces her to Shannon, tells her to sit down, and she asks how they met, and Shannon says it was at a mutual friend's birthday party, and at first Shannon hated him, thinking that he was really conceited, as he wouldn't say to any of her questions, but he was really just shy, which she still denies. Chelsea says it seems like they have a lot of fun together, and she asks him if they want to do shots, and Sam anxiously waits for Chelsea, who seems to be crying over Michael's death. She actually is genuinely crying, and this isn't fake in any way. She actually is crying. She's trying to pull herself together, and she splashed some cold water on her face, comes back downstairs, and at first Sam thinks that he should just call her a cab, and I like Sam's reaction that he doesn't really care. He's kind of just freaking out, obviously, because he paid her all this money, and he's getting really upset because he paid her all this money and she's not really delivering at all. But Chelsea assures him that she's fine, and Chelsea then takes off her bra, starts making out with Shannon, but at the last minute she backs out of it. She can't do it at this point. She's so affected by Michael's death, she can't even have sex right now, and she's never done this with a girl, and we know that's not true because she did in fact have sex with Avery. salary. We saw in the second episode she had sex with her, and Sam is pissed that he paid her $3,000 for this and said that they should just get her clothes back on. And it's a really tough episode to watch, honestly. This was a hard episode to watch. Christine then calls David and has rough sex with him, and he really wants to know what's going on because obviously they're having very rough sex, and she assures him it's nothing, as of course she has full control. And David asks if she came, and she says she did. He says he didn't, but he gets up and she asks if he's stressed out, and you can tell that at this point these two are having sex regularly, and this is not the first time they've done it in a while. Clearly they're doing this a lot, and he says he promised he'd take his kids to school, and Christine says that he can just tell her to leave, and David says he's not her friend, but maybe he can at some point, which is interesting that he says straight out, we are not friends. And we know, of course, that David lies a lot. We know that Christine doesn't want to be with someone unless something gets accomplished, and basically, he says, maybe he can at some point, but not at 4 in the morning. He says she's free to crash there and take a shower or whatever, and she does exactly that. And here's someone coming in, and we don't know who it is, as if it's David, but someone else seems to be inside, and it's Tariq with a box filled with files, and she doesn't know why he's there, and doesn't even see the box. Like, she doesn't even see the box or anything. She just knows that someone's there. She doesn't know why he's there, but doesn't even realize that it's Tariq. She just sees someone with files, and that's something I love about the scene, is that Christine does not get to see Tariq. We know that it's Tariq. It's a great example of dramatic irony that Christine doesn't know that this is Tariq. So clearly something is going on there that we don't know about. She then heads to Kirkland and looks at more about what's going on with this whole Kirkland situation. Going on with XHP. While she's looking at this, Erin comes up to her, and I remember when Erin was introduced, I said that, these two were definitely going to clash, and that these two were going to be sworn enemies, but this episode indicates that that's not going to happen anytime soon. She says that she thought that she heard someone, and she's here early. Christine says she wanted to get there before the day starts to get crazy and get some work done, and Erin asks if there's something she can help her with, and Christine says she's just getting familiar with David's work, and Erin says that they should grab lunch today to talk about her experience at the firm so far, and says she has an opening at 2, and Christine says that she'd love that. Erin agrees to meet with her at 2, and basically we see that these two are going to start some sort of friendship, and I do like seeing that, something that I never would have expected, but very welcome. I like that the show is doing that. So David then meets with Tariq, said it's not official and the committee still needs to make the final vote, but it's clear the way everyone's leaning that they are promoting him to managing partner next week. And this is a great thing because, as we know, David was really pissed about what happened with Erin. The fact that Erin was, that he was demoted and that Erin is now taking on XHP completely. Now he's even higher ranking than Erin, that he's going to be, basically a managing partner, but he's not to tell anyone. He told him, and he just wanted to give him some lead time so he could get things in order. And David asks about XHP, and Tariq says that Erin is still heading it, and he doesn't have to worry about it. Managing partner is a high-ranking position, and David says he's been working at XHP for 2 years, and he'd like to continue doing so. Even though he's working as managing partner, he wants to do that too, and continue working closely with Erin on it. Tariq says if he wants to work on it for the extra time to go for it, but he's only going off on salary, and David says he knows, says they'll consider it pre bono work, and Erin, and basically he wants to continue doing this. You can already see that David really does have a lot on his plate. He's juggling a lot. It's kind of too much for him, and I don't really think David realizes how much he's really taking on. So Erin asks Christine how things are going with David, and Christine says it's great. It's a very interesting scene here because I couldn't really tell, is Erin trying to get through to Christine, or is she actually trying to be a friend to her? It's a very interesting scene because here Christine doesn't really have control. Erin is completely in control in this scene. A lot of this show has been Christine being in control, but this really is the first episode where I don't think Christine is in complete control in every scene. We see that Christine says it's great, she's learning a lot, and it's really impressive how much he can juggle, and she says it's great, and basically the waiter gives Christine her drink. Erin asks if Christine knew David is going through a divorce and that it must be a trying time for him, and Christine says that he didn't mention that to her, and Erin says that they were together for 17 years, and he's got 2 kids, Chris and Kyle, who are 16 and 14, and she says she shouldn't have brought it up. She just thought that she should know in case it changes behavior at work, mainly because of the fact of how he's acting, that he's very if he starts acting really angry and things like that, and she says sometimes he doesn't think before he acts, but she works with him, and she's smart, and she'll notice it. And Christine says he definitely knows what he wants, and Erin says that's a great way to look at it, and yeah, that really is true. I mean, David clearly knows what he wants, and Christine thanks her for being honest with her, and it's a really great scene with Erin because she just got all this information that she pretty much already knew. She didn't really need this information from Erin, but Erin gave it to her. Erin then tells David he got her into this, and he says he didn't get her into Wright's pants, and I love seeing this with Erin and David. 1, this confirms that she definitely is having sex with Wright. 2, Erin and David are at odds here. They are no longer together, and we've seen them as a dynamic. we know the show started with them, of course, talking and then at each other's throats and then seemingly getting over it. And he says the name changed, and I think we definitely start to see what's going on here. He says that the name changed, but she's just using the tools at her disposal, and she asks how Christine is. He said that that's a nice deflection tactic, and she asks how his intern is, and he says that's not what she was asking, and she says she doesn't need his help, and he says that she does, and she says she doesn't, and if anything, she can focus better without him in her face making snarky comments, and, she really feels she can do this on her own, but it's clear that David does not feel that. He feels that he needs to be involved, and it's interesting the way that David feels he needs this involvement with everything, the way that David kind of just longs for control and he longs for, being involved with it. And he's kind of conceited in that way, which I do like seeing. And I wouldn't really say conceited, but he definitely wants attention. He wants a lot of attention. He wants to be involved with things. He wants to know what's going on. This is really the first time, just like Christine, that David's not in complete control. And I like seeing that. He says he asked to stay on SHP with her, and she says just a consolation prize, and he says that she deserved it. She says she didn't, and really she doesn't think that she did, which is interesting that she says that she didn't deserve it, which I definitely find that interesting. And I think deep down, Erin knows the only reason she's getting this is because of the fact of what she did with Wright. She knows deep down that was not the way to do it, but she knew desperate times called for desperate measures. That was the only way she knew they could keep Wright, and she did whatever she could to keep him. So Chelsea meets with Peter, who goes over the information of Michael's will, and this is a very interesting scene, because this is the first thing that's come up in Christine's life as a GFE that she doesn't have control over. She never agreed to be part of this will. She never agreed to know, she never knew the extent of how Michael felt about her, but if anything, this really shows how Michael really felt about, Chelsea. He never really just saw her as a business partner. He never saw her that way, and I do like seeing that. You really do see that everyone doesn't just see her that way, which I do like seeing. He goes over the information of Michael's will, says $500K, that $500,000 was given to Chelsea, not just $500,000 was given to her, and he asks if she is Chelsea Ray, and she says nothing, and he says all Michael left was her telephone number, and he said that they had become very close, and all he knew was her phone number, which is interesting because that's all that Michael knew, obviously. Everything else she made up, and he says that they'd become very close, and she says that they were, and he says she'll need more than a phone number to prove her identity to the probate court, and asks if she has an attorney. So now she's in a much different situation. The fact that she needs this attorney, the fact that she is, basically stuck in proving to have to say that she's Chelsea when that's not really her name. But then she goes to Martin, who we haven't seen Martin since the second episode. What I love about this is that this is not at all her job now. This is something that she genuinely has to do. And she tells him all about Michael. She says she's sorry. She doesn't have any other lawyers that she trusts that can talk to about this. And it seems like she's revealed who she really is. She's revealed that her real name's Christine. She's revealed what's going on. And Martin says he was looking forward to a nice lunch and a little bit more after it, but he didn't understand this was going to be a business lunch. And he asked her how many clients of men does she see, and she asked if this is necessary. He says he's going to help her, but she's got to be straight with him, and she says a few, including him, and he asks her if her family knows, and she says they don't, and he says she decides if she wants his inheritance, and that she's willing to prove that she's Chelsea. It becomes public record to anyone who has access to the will once it goes through probate, and she says she will have to think about that, and he says he'll let her take some time, and she asks him why two lawyers from opposing teams. She information, of course, referring to David and Tariq, and he says unless the judge ordered it, that they would have no reason to. It's illegal and collision, and he asks what kind of case this is, and she says medical patent, and he asks what it's worth, and she says billions, and he says there's a whole host of reasons right there. Basically, that's how they can do this, and basically, I did like, I like that she asked straight out, why are two lawyers, from opposing teams sharing information? Because she wants to know why David and Tariq would do this, and that's basically the reason. And he asks if she's sure that's what's going on, and she says that she can't be certain. He asks her this is business, and she says that it's always been, which, yeah, it has. I mean, to her, that's what this has been. It's been nothing more than a job. Again, Christine doesn't do anything unless something is being accomplished, and that's a perfect example of that. But then Christine gets this alarming news that I don't think she was prepared for at all, and I don't think anyone really was expecting. Susan goes up to Christine, tells her that she's been reassigned to Skip Hatterley. She's no longer working for David. She's now going to be Skip Hatterley's intern, and she has why, and Susan says she doesn't know, to talk to Evans about it. Evans says that David didn't say, and Christine says he must have said something and give a reason why, and Evans says he didn't, and he doesn't have to. He just said that he wants a new intern, and Skip is great, and she will like him, and she should just let it go and go to Skip. ship. So very interesting that David single-handedly just got her out of his life completely. He clearly didn't want to deal with her. I don't really know what it was, but she's no longer working for David, and it's very interesting. So David meets with the rest of his board. Tariq asks him how he sees the firm moving forward, and David says they know him. He's not an idealist, that they need to move in directions that may not feel right, but the market is changing at a rate that is on his window, and he says she wants to see him, and he says that they can't keep doing, and basically exponential their current resources. And David then gets in his car and basically, and I like the question that Tariq asked him, and, how does he really see the firm moving forward if he really wants to be the business partner? And we don't really see what he gets to say, but Christine then knocks on his window, obviously because she wants to know what's going on. I mean, obviously she wants to know why he's doing this to her, says she wants to see him, and he says that they can't keep doing this, and she says for just one more time. They go to his guest house, David takes a call, Christine follows him since the conversation is clearly all about her. She says she had to go to the bathroom, and she asks who that was, and he says that it was Ben, the guy he knew from college that has a client that is suing the shit out of their clients, and he says that she's still in school and she'll get it when her friends start working for different sides. She says she doesn't really have any friends, which honestly I will believe. I don't think that Christine really does have friends because, as we know, again, she doesn't have anyone unless something's being accomplished. And she then gets ready in the bathroom, comes out, asks if he's he asks if he's waiting for her to fuck him, and he says he is, and she if she doesn't, then he'll have to fire her. And the way that he's kind of manipulating her into this is interesting, but again, she doesn't really have control. But right when they have sex, of course, she has control. And it's a very interesting scene, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the relation between Christine and David changes from here because of the fact that this is no longer them just being boss and intern. Now they need to see if they are going to expand and continue this relationship even though they're no longer working together. So in Kirkland, she meets with Skip, who says he's very happy to have her on board, and he just needs her to read a few articles of the work he's doing so she can get up to speed, and then asks his secretary, Sarah, to get Christine a copy of the Eisner application, and says she needs anything at all. The door's always open, and thanks to him, she's given paperwork. Sees David and Erin talking about something, but ignores them. She goes into the bathroom, and on her phone, she sees someone has recorded her and David having sex the night before, as well as him saying that he will make sure it is not going to trial. That whole phone conversation he had is there. Someone's now recorded them. Who this is, we don't know, but that is how the episode ends, and damn what an episode this was. I mean, this episode really was crazy. A lot happened here, a lot of big events here, and a lot of incredible stuff. Again, we really are seeing that this really is starting to spin out of control, and I don't really think Christine ever realized what she really signed up for. I think she knew going in this wouldn't be an easy job, but I don't really think she ever thought it'd be quite as crazy as it's turning out to be. Really, things are just getting crazier and crazier at this point, and why did David, single-handedly fire her? I mean, he clearly wants her out of his life, but why did he do this? We don't really know. We don't really know what the reason for it was. He didn't really give her much of a reason either, which is very interesting, why he really didn't give her a reason, because it's clear that there is a specific reason. We just don't really know what that is yet. We'll have to see what happens with that. That's going to be very interesting. As far as Christine and Erin goes, what's interesting about those scenes between Christine and Erin is Erin genuinely trying to be a friend of Christine, or does she just want to get information out of her? I'm not really sure. To me, it kind of seems like Erin maybe force David to get rid of Christine. I don't really know, but there are a lot of things, and that's something that's so great about the show, is that there's so much that we don't really know. The show's so, like I said, fly on the wall, and that we feel like we're just listening to a conversation rather than actually in the conversation. We don't really know how these characters are feeling, and it's something that's a very interesting device, and it's very much like Christine not wanting to really dive deep into someone, not really wanting to get closer than anyone, and pretty much just being with someone if something is being accomplished. And especially when it says to Martin, it's just business. Everything to her is business. Everything, really. If you, anything, any conversation, anything she does, everything to Christine really is business. And I think it's a great line. I really love the way that we saw that, and I definitely really enjoyed seeing that. Who is now taping Christine and David? Because clearly there's something going on there. We don't know what that's about, but something is going on, and I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know why, but I feel like Avery's going to come back in this story somehow. I just feel like she has to. She started out the story. I feel like she has to come back in at some point. I don't know how, but we'll have to see what happens with that. How is this trial going to work? Because clearly Christine, she isn't really Chelsea. That's not her real name. She has to prove that's her real name, and I don't really know how she's going to be able to do this. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. That's going to be a very interesting situation to see how that all turns out, because I don't really know what's going to happen there. That's definitely going to be very interesting to see how that all turns out. And then as far as, I guess, everything else goes, is she going to go on this vacation with Ryan? What's going to happen with that? We didn't see her with Kevin in this episode either, so I don't really know what happens there. But overall, guys, I know you guys saw this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Amazing stuff overall. By far, best episode of the season. Absolutely loved it. I cannot wait for the next episode. The more this goes on, the more I love it. So let me know what you guys saw this episode, and I will see you guys in my next show, which will be for tonight's episode of Game of Thrones, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.